So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers around the globe, and welcome to another series of intimate conversations with your host, Mandy Horton. And today's guest is the gorgeous Tracey Dunell. And welcome, Tracey. And I want to say that
Fire.
wonderful to have you here, and welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here. Like we've just touched on it, I've not, it's been way too long,
It
way too long.
has. It has. It's been a few years for sure. And yeah, just been, as with everyone, catching up with everyone on socials, and it's really lovely watching everyone's journey and how they're progressing and what everyone's up to and the flying that's happening at the moment with everyone. It's
Yeah.
like it's massive. Everyone's just taking off. But I will just read your bio to everyone for those who don't know you, Tracey.
A little
And
snippet of me.
yeah, for sure. There's a lot in your life experiencing that has brought you through to where you are today. And I'm really going to we're going to touch on all that. So, Brisbane-based makeup artist with 22 years in the beauty industry with Argentinian roots, and now raising my own little family alongside my husband and growing kids. I've had a lifelong love for enhancing beauty, natural beauty. Teaching comes naturally to me. Creativity is my happy place, and I'm all about confidence, connection, and being unapologetically yourself. And that is so cool. I think so many of us now have got to a point where it's like almost middle finger up to anyone who's
Yeah.
looking at
I
us in a
mean,
way that's sort of suggesting they're not agreeing. It's like,
absolutely.
who
It's
cares?
only take it's only taken me 40 years though, Mandy. But yeah, we got there.
Well, I'm in the 60s, and it's taken me 60 something years to really get myself in that space and not really concern myself at all. And it's such a freedom when you stop worrying about what everyone else out there thinks or feels about you. And even the expectations that they have of you, it sort of drops away.
100%. I've come to a point in my life where at 45, coming on 46, but we shouldn't be jumping the gun now. Um, yeah, where I've come into a point in my life where I've decided that it's what matters is my happiness, what brings me joy, and yeah, just really blocking out any kind of, because I've suffered from fear of judgment all my life, like all
Yeah,
my life was a
me
thing.
too.
So
Mm.
you just get to a point where you have to say, well, you do you, boo, as they say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
This generation now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I've been.
Yeah, beautiful. So, Tracy, you are a makeup beauty artist, and you've had quite a journey. I was going to get you in. You kept thinking of you, and I thought I must get Tracy and we'll have a chat. And then you put up, which was so cool. It was right time. You put up a
All about me.
all about you, introducing yourself to newbies on your page and in through your business and all that. And oh my goodness, there was a lot there, and I thought we've really got to get in and have a chat about all this because it was like that's really exciting stuff. Um, First of all, the first question that I
Yeah.
ask all my guests is, were you a consciously aware child? If not,
Yeah.
how
Yep.
did that all come about? And if so, what was the dynamics, like around that for you and your family?
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, I've I've thought about this question as you've sort of prompted me on it, and it definitely has been around probably when I decided to started to embark on my own, become a bit more independent in my 20s, and I went through such an amazing. I was in such an amazing pinnacle of my career, and yet I couldn't see my value
Right.
because I was literally just seeing the physical aspect of myself, and really wasn't seeing beyond that. And I remember thinking, wow, people keep telling me that I'm so much more than I perceive myself. And it really kind of stuck. And I was like, whoa, okay, then I need to start seeing myself a bit better than that. Like, and so that's when it embarked. And it was probably around the 2009 mark where I discovered, that the importance of self-belief, self-love, self-acceptance. And it was a journey from there. It just didn't happen overnight. It was
No.
obviously a journey. But within months of affirming and like changing my mindset, and obviously having that deep realization that I could be so much more, that's when things started to change for me. That's when I met my husband. That's when I've had the pinnacle of my career and got invited to work at New York Fashion Week. That's when I got engaged. That's when I fell pregnant. Like, it was just bang, 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 bang. And I get goosebumps just thinking about it, because because I was like, why didn't I do
Miraculous.
this sooner?
Yeah,
Why didn't
yeah.
I see myself before? So
Yes.
yeah.
And I was laughing in that because so many times I got told the same thing in my younger years, and I used to get so annoyed by it, because it's like, well, why can't I see this? What
Mm.
is it then? And how do I get to that? There was never any sort of do this, do that, do that. It was just left to you to
Yeah.
find your way in this madness of this world and what's going on and how it was. But in that discovery, I think there's bit by bit too, because we tend to get into like, yeah, okay, I can see that now, and we might dive in a little bit, and things like you say start turning up. It's like, wow, you get the validation. And then there's times, of course, it's not all that, and it
Uh,
doesn't just keep climbing.
uh,
There's those
Definitely
times when
waves.
oh my God, you have to
Yeah,
go back to that place again of going, hang on a
100%.
minute, because it's not an easy thing for us to see ourselves in really beautiful, positive ways all the time. It's just not. We're not designed. I don't know why. I know why, but
Oh, you know why. It's what's happening out there
totally,
that we're conditioned to see all
yeah,
the time, and believe. And it's a tough thing to sort of accept, especially like I know that you've had a very sort of strict upbringing. I didn't have a strict upbringing, but I definitely had my parents had a very conditioned way of thinking where, you know, money doesn't grow on trees, you got to work hard, or,
yeah, that
there was
program,
always that kind of programming that,
yeah,
that we got taught in those days. And so trying to get your yourself to actually, see another perspective, and understand that there's so much more out there was a very, very challenging task. But I had it was just like a burning thing inside of me that said,
yeah,
hang on, Trace, wow, you've got to see this, you've got to see this. Like, something was telling me, you are worth way more than you give yourself any credit for. And it was almost like just a massive weight. I mean, I lost weight too, but that wasn't the part. It was almost like a
yeah,
massive, like, just lift off my shoulders,
yeah,
to be able to see myself in a light where I, saw my value, saw who I was, um, and was able to transcend that in my work as well, and be more like, I'm going to give you really, really experienced advice here, or I'm going to be able to create something for you that that is going to transform you. And having that sense of positivity and confidence that didn't
Mm.
sound like ego, that came across as, no, this is self-belief, because that was the hard thing for me to sort of differentiate.
Absolutely.
Very hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard.
Yeah, we're not used to pumping, blowing our own trumpet, as people might call it. And I've said things throughout my life, and I've thought, God, that sounded so egoic. And yet it wasn't coming from ego. It was just fact. You come to a realization about yourself, and some of the things are pretty outstanding. And we have a real difficulty in even speaking that up. It's a weird thing. It is a weird thing, but we get
It
used to it
is.
and it gets better and easier. I couldn't even write my own website descriptive. Like when, who's
You're
Mandy?
like, who's Mandy? Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get my daughter to do it for my first website ever. And when I got it back from her and I read it through it, I bawled my eyes out. It was like, oh my God, that's actually me. Like everything she said was what I'd experienced and,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. But anyway, we are weird. Um Tracey, you followed, and when did you sort of decide, or when did you know that the beauty industry was where you wanted to go? Like, how did that come about?
Oh, that's a memory I'll never ever lose, I don't think, because I was working in a customer service job, which I managed to swindle my way into with my sister working there. And we were on a night shift, and I was looking at a magazine. And, I've always been, just as a bit of a back history, I've always been quite creative. I've always been excelled in art, always A's in art, not so good in everything else, but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what a creative does, right?
Yeah.
So always excelled in art, and I knew that there was something, there had to be something out there that I could do to use my expertise and my talent. I could draw, I could paint, but as we all know, in this world of technology, a lot of people don't do, like, I thought maybe I'd become an animator or something like that. But as we all know, this is all done on computers these days. And
Mm-hmm.
it was very hard for me the idea of sitting down on a computer all day to do animation wasn't for me. I gave it a shot. I did a bit of work experience. It wasn't for me. So I knew there had to be something out there that would actually transcend with my talent. And I was on a night shift and I saw an advertisement, and it was for Napoleon Purtis to become a makeup artist. And it just hit me. I was 20, no, I was 19. And it hit me so like hard in the face that I could feel my heart racing. And I was just like, I ripped the page out. I still
Wow.
have it. I still have the little
Do you?
that cut out. I'm just so proud of keeping it. I ripped it out, and I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. And I went home to my family and I expressed myself to them. And as you can imagine, I was a teen. I didn't save money. You don't save money when you're a teen.
No.
And so I set a bit of a goal for 2 years to start saving the money, because it was about a $10,000 course. And then that 2 years passed, and being young, dumb, and, very, very always spending my money,
Yeah.
didn't have the money saved. And I sat down in the kitchen one day and we were talking as a family, me and my sister and my parents. And they were like, and I remember receiving the curriculum for the course. They still send it to you to sort of keep you engaged,
Yeah.
and noticing the dates and everything of when the courses started. And, we were talking about the fact that I didn't have the money for the course yet. And she goes, have you ever thought of asking work to see if they'll let you study while you work? And I said, well, no. Do you reckon they'd let me? Because they've never let anyone else in the entire company. They'd never let anyone else that I have known of. So we thought, what the hell, let's ask. And that was my sister who actually initiated that. And so I asked, and because I was such a yes girl to every shift, I was, any shift at all, I'd be, yeah, no worries, I'll do it. Yeah, if it's a midnight shift, I'll do it. Young, no responsibility, was able to get up and do as much as I could. They actually said yes, and my jaw dropped. undenied about it for a bit and then came back to me and said yes. So I was able to work. I think I was working casually as often as I could whenever they needed me around the 3 days that I had to go into the city to study. So
No.
that was my journey. That year was intense, but it was an incredible experience. I'll never forget it because it was also the year my sister had her first baby. And, there was this new life coming in, and I was creating this new, career. And it just resonated with me so much that I enjoyed every little aspect of it, the
Oh,
connections, the people that I met, because we were a class of like 30, and just the learning. I don't know if you've ever experienced doing something that you just felt that you resonated with in such a deep level that it just felt 100% right. And this was coming from, like, even after, you know your trainers give you the statistics that not everyone's going to get a career out of this.
yeah.
It comes down to your effort. It comes down to what you put into it and all this sort of thing. And they tell you that, statistically, there's only a small percentage of the class that will actually make it. And I was just like, that's not even a thought for me. That's not even a thought for me.
Yeah.
And it just went from there. I just kept, I think I was in retail for about 6 months, and then I was recognized by one of the managers, and she offered me an opportunity to become a trainer, so be put under somebody's wing. That was like jaw-dropping, wow, the fact that you would actually consider me
Mm,
moment. And I really took it under my wing and was a trainer for about 3 years and absolutely loved every minute, every second of it all. And it was such a blessing. And I think that radiated through my work.
yeah, for
And I had
sure.
an opportunity where where the actual CEO saw my artistry through an event we had. And within a month, I'm just cutting it all short. Within a month, he had somebody return from Sydney to meet with me. I thought I was in trouble.
I would have
I
too.
was like, oh my God, what's happening here? And they pulled me inside and said, your artistry is next level. Napoleon Purtis actually wants you to become the first ever creative team member here in Queensland. And I remember my heart pumping. I was just like so elated. I was like, oh my God, my dreams are coming true. Um, it was such an incredible honor and I was just blown away. And that's where my journey started as a global makeup artist. And I was an artist for a global makeup artist for 12 years out of the 15 years that I was there, and had so many incredible experiences. And I hold it so deeply I get emotional because it was such an incredible, just a period in my life that I honor, because not everyone gets that,
No,
you know,
yeah,
not everyone gets to do what they're passionate about and what they love, and in such an incredible way. And I truly believe that it had a lot to do, no, it had everything to do with self-belief and
yeah.
seeing myself and my value. Yeah.
Mm,
So
that's
that
amazing.
was a good part of my journey.
Yeah. And I think that's all beautiful, but the beautiful thing is when we have our children and we're living life through our passion, and we create our own pathway, income, all of that stuff built through our heart, built through what we're really truly passionate about. I know for me, my girls both say to me about how that's inspired them to step into their passion and live their life in accordance to their heart in that way as well through their creativity.
Beautiful.
And I love that. I think that is one of, if anything, that's something that's a great thing to pass on to our children. And particularly in today's world where, there may be a bit of fear around, if somebody was thinking about starting a business now, it would be, oh, probably not a good idea. But actually, if you just follow your heart like that, it all unfolds in front of you. You have no
Absolutely.
idea sometimes about how magnificent it can really be. You
You
know,
don't. And it really is about taking that leap of
mm,
faith. It is that cliche comment that we all hear, but it is about taking that leap of faith. And that is when I finished my career with Napoleon Purtis, not as an artist.
yeah,
I had a moment where there was about probably 6 months, I think, that was I was employed with a little pharmacy for a little bit, which was kind of perfect because it really eased me sort of coming out of that company. Being made redundant with Napoleon Pettis, it was almost like a breakup after 15 years. It was the
I
most
bet.
devastating thing, most heart wrenching thing I've ever
Oh,
experienced. But because we saw it evolve, we
yeah,
saw it move, and the ups and the incredible pinnacle moments, and like I said, New York Fashion Week, and traveling all over New Zealand, and I got to head the makeup artistry team for the Wellington Fashion show. Like what the
wow, yeah,
that was an incredible thing, and just a lot of like photo shoots and meeting incredible people. So when it ended, it was devastating, but at the same time we were ready. Well, I was ready for something new. So
yeah,
I had a couple of months off. I got a job with a pharmacy. It had Napoleon products, so I was kind of easing out of it, kind of still
yeah.
a little bit there. But then I had an opportunity to work at Mecca. But Mecca's been fantastic. They have an incredible alignment with sort of their main backbone is about empathy, especially with their staff, is about
Yeah.
empathy, mindfulness, and gratitude. So they have that
Yeah.
as their backbone. And
Yeah.
when I discovered this, I was like, this is amazing. This is something
Yeah.
that's been come to me, um, that has aligned with me so well.
Mm,
Um, and the beauty about it, it's very different to Napoleon Purtis, but Mecca uh, really focuses on making sure their team members are 100% good up here in the mind,
that's
in the
great.
spirit,
Yeah.
and they offer you, like, because life happens, and they offer you, if you have things going on, they even offer you a free service to help you, like services to help you if you need to chat to somebody. And like, it's an incredible company to work for. And
That's great. Yeah.
I've been blessed with that. And so, coming on board with them, I was able to learn a whole nother array of products, which was a massive eye opener for me. As you can imagine, I was only using one, but also being able to meet, so many, different personalities, different walks of life within the company, because they're
Yeah.
not all artists, and also just almost taking a step back, because I just became a retail artist, so what they call a color specialist. Um, and I had to do the whole. This is the crazy part. Aside of all of my experience, they still, they make sure that everyone that comes in to become an artist with the company goes through the same training process that even somebody
Oh,
without experience doesn't. So,
yeah.
and I was like humbled by that, because I thought, you know what, there could be things that they're doing that I'm not doing. So it was really huge, massive step outside of my comfort zone, and I was
Right.
able to go through their training process, and then just become a color specialist, where you know even the aspect, because when I was with Napoleon, we didn't actually do I didn't work in the store, if that makes sense. So I was being part of the global artistry team. My job was fashion shows, module writing. We taught, we did all sorts of ins and outs within the business, but it wasn't being on the shop front floor, which a lot of people assumed. So when I came to Mecca, it was retail, and I had to do the shop front floor, which was a massive new thing for me. I was like, okay, I've never done this before. So doing makeup on a person, and I'm not saying that models aren't real, but let's face it, we got models out there doing makeup on them with their beautiful skin and beautiful features. Nothing looks bad, and having different demographics, different ages, different ethnicities sit in my chair for the first time was such an incredible experience, because not only did I get to, really discover who they are, but it really was about getting to know them, creating that rapport, that trust between us both, and then being able to sort of, enhance their natural features without making them feel like they're masked or anything like that. And
Yes.
been an incredible journey. So I've been with Mecca now for 6 years. Yeah.
Great products too, Mecca. I love their product standard. It's good stuff. I get quite a bit of my stuff, and my daughter does too. She did a beauty course, makeup beauty. She did the massage and all the things, but it was actually the makeup and beauty that she really resonated with. Yeah, and she leads me into all the great product, but Mecca's one of the shops we go to when we go to Auckland. It's like, let's go to Mecca. Let's see what they got in.
If you were here, I could get you discount, Mandy.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, no, good stuff. Good stuff. And then you went on, you went to New York, girlfriend, to the New
That
York
was an
Fashion
incredible
Week.
experience. Yeah, I mean, as a makeup artist, I know very well that in order to get to that position, to that point where you get an opportunity to be part of an incredible, event like that, you got to work your butt off and literally, network and get your name out there. Like, especially if you're a freelancer, it is tough gig. You've got to get smoochy with everyone and get your name up there in order to be able to get. And 9 times out of 10, you'll be paying for your own ticket to get over there, right? The fact that we were part of Napoleon Purtis's team, so there was a total of 8 of us, 2 in Queensland, 4 in New South Wales, 2 in Victoria, and 1 in WA, 1 in Perth. And I think that's 8. I'm not sure. Maybe it was 10. It's been a while, but he selected a handful of us out of the team, so we couldn't all go, which was tough because obviously it was hard for those who didn't get to go. But there was about 6 of us that got to go, which was incredible. And we got put up in an apartment, and very in the New York City, like in the middle of all the big massive buildings. It was such an incredible experience. Very eye-opening, and we hit the ground running when we got there, and it was 3 a.m. call times, and our company was very strict with time, so they're like, if you're not at your this is the thing about this industry. People think it's really glamorous and from the perspective of a person outside, potentially, but it's actually hard work. Like, we were doing 3 a.m. call times, which meant getting up at 1, leaving at 2, because if you were late, you were sent back home. So you could not be late. And, so these are things that you had to do, and you had to make sure your kit was immaculate, that everything was inside of it that you needed. And I'm not talking just about makeup. We're talking about razors, straws, hairspray if you needed it, hair clips if you need it. Even though you're not doing hair, as an artist, you've got to have it all in
Right.
case you need it. Straws if they have red lips and they want to drink something, and you've got to give them a straw. And there was just so much,
Right.
and
Yeah, yeah.
it was such an incredible experience. So we did some. There was a lot of background work that's done before you do a fashion show, and for example, we get given the designer that we're working for, and then from there we negotiate the look that they want to create for the show. So the director of the show, which at the time was Kate Squires, and oh my god, I'm blanking on my boss's name. Oh my god, I'm blanking on my boss's name. Oh my god. Anyway, so both our lead members had to, meet with the designers, create a look, and in that time we called a briefing. So where you would meet with them and do a briefing as to what they want to go with the fashion that is being shown. And from there, they come back and they relay this information to us, and they provide us with face charts. And a face chart is essentially an A4 size piece of paper, or A5, it doesn't really matter. And it normally has a template of a face on it with the eyes and all the features. And then you're designing an actual look on it. So it had to be really professionally drawn. Things that you would never do on a day-to-day life, but in this
No.
industry was big. So these face charts were created. They were relayed to us, given us copies. And then, of course, we needed to make sure all of our products were in there. And then, there was that go time. So when we would arrive to the actual venue, we would have to be, always professionally dressed, always in the Napoleon Purtis gear, and then be ready with our station set up, ready for for models to come and take a seat. And the thing about this is, it wasn't just about, just noticed there's somebody just rocked up to my house and I don't know who they are. It wasn't just about, maybe something. Oh, okay, yes. They're dropping something off to my tenant downstairs. I completely forgot. I'm wondering, I think they're coming up to my door. Can we just give me 2 seconds?
I'll just
give
pause
me
a sec. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, they would sit down and we would only have a certain amount of time to get the look done. And the pressure was on, but it was so exhilarating, and you really honed into your skill and were able to really create these incredible looks and feel proud of what you created. Like, honestly, it was like showing off your work. It was like showing off my work here.
For sure.
So very incredible experience New York was, and I'll hold it dear. And I got to do celebrity makeup. I'd go to their hotel. Yeah, we would get assigned certain celebrities or, A grade, speakers, whether they were directors or, designers, and we would go to their hotel, and that was very nerve-wracking. Very nerve-wracking.
I bet. And so you were always made to keep yourself immaculate as well, I presume, obviously, because you're showcasing what you're about as well. But so when you have a fashion week like that, there might be how many models altogether? Like there might be 15 or 20, 25?
Probably more between 25 to 30. Yeah.
Okay. So then how many artists are there that are coping with them? And like my thoughts were so hang on, I just want to go back a bit. When you were doing you're doing the paper and you're designing the face on the paper, was that in view of having a particular model that was showcasing a particular style, and you were to sort of show what you would do with that model and how you would create that into that style? or was it just an exercise that showed them what your capabilities might have been in a sense? And then in saying that too, were you assigned your own models and you knew what designs they were going to be, or sort of like if they're coming out with an Indian flavor, like African flavor, say, you know, what sort of color schemes you were working with and all that sort of thing? Is that like, how does that all work? Because I would,
Oh, that's a really interesting question. So it was not as delegated as that. It wasn't as you could say like broken down like that. Yes, we did know the amount of people, the amount of we always had to know the amount of faces that we had to do. So it could have been anywhere between 20 and 25, 20 and 30 people. So because we that was a definite detail in the briefing. Sorry, I'm going to go back to briefing. So a briefing is an opportunity where our directors or the leads of the team have an opportunity to work out what all their needs are. So how many faces need to be and how many models there are. So let's just say hypothetically there was 20 models, okay? So they would need to make sure that based on the time frame that we had, so they might say, okay, the show starts at 12, we need hair and makeup done by 11 because they're going to have a run through before the show. A run through is where they do like a fake walk onto the stage. There's no one out there, but they do a bit of a run through. And we are allowed to go out there to check how the makeup transcends under all the lighting and everything.
okay, cool.
So there's a lot of things that go on
Yeah.
there. And so that briefing, that initial briefing, is done by the leads, and then they do a second briefing with us before the show. So it could be the day before or the morning of, depending on how much time we have.
Right.
And they will sit us down. They'll grab just any one of us as a model, and they'll do the whole look on somebody to give them an example, to give us all an example.
Yeah.
And then from there, it is up to us and our expertise to be able to pick the right colors for whatever skin type they are, whatever coloring they are, whatever ethnicity they are. We are the professionals. We need to be able to make it work for them. So that was under our responsibility. But yeah, we would know how many people we have. So we would be told at the beginning before the show, okay, Tracey, you're going to have, or the team is going to have 3 looks each. And so you will have, and because we've only got an hour and a half, you'll only have a half an hour per look, and you need to make sure that you have enough brushes to cover all 3 because you're not going to be able to clean brushes in between, and, just things like that.
Yeah.
So or the briefing was the main thing that actually helped us keep on top of everything. But as you can imagine, things don't always run smoothly.
No, they don't.
So,
no.
Hair can sometimes take a lot longer, and that means sometimes we've had moments where we had looks that we had to create in 10 minutes, but there were like 3 of us getting stuck into somebody, one doing eyeliner, one doing foundation, one doing this, one doing that. And it was like heart palpitating stuff.
I bet. That was one of my other questions, was that there would be like, say, one model is going to walk, say, 3 times with 3 different outfits, and you would do, so she's not sitting, or he isn't sitting in front of you in the outfit, so that you can tone it up with what they're wearing at the moment.
Yeah. So they have what they call dresses, and they're in backstage. So every model has their own rack of what they're going to wear, and it's all labeled for them and ready to go. So that's a dresser's job and the designer's job, right? And the stylist's job. So they have that all ready. We are back there with them, kind of sort of standing out of the way because we don't want to get makeup on anyone. But our job is, once they have their outfit on, to go up to them and quickly touch up, and then pull away. So when they
Right.
get changed again and they do their next outfit, we go right back up to them again, quick touch up, make sure they're all good, but no, they
Yep.
don't necessarily have any makeup changes. There has
Right.
been shows where we've had to do makeup changes
Mm.
throughout, and that was very stressful. So, but
Yeah.
no, generally it's just a touch up throughout each outfit.
Awesome. And did you
Yeah.
find, like, did you find that there was a lot of ego floating character stuff going
Oh,
on, and like the models themselves, like were they princessy and all that sort of thing? Like,
oh,
I know that sounds
oh,
terrible, but you know, can
oh,
imagine.
100%. I mean, there was in their little world. The models are in their little world,
Yes.
but then we were also in our own little egoic world as well. So the models had this thing that they would have to, they would. It was like they had to be switched on because it was an energy thing.
Yeah.
If you don't have that energy when you're walking out there, it showed. And
Yeah.
they knew this. So they
Yeah.
would pump themselves up at the back, and the music would be pumping, so they would be dancing in line.
Okay. Yeah.
And most of the girls would, let us take photos of them. So they would be posing all the time. There'd be flashing cameras going off all the time. So they'd have to. I don't know if you've ever seen the Victoria's Secret, backstage sort of
No.
video or anything, but it's very similar to that. Just lots of
Yeah.
they've got to get themselves mentally prepared to get on that stage and really strut their stuff. So it's not they can't be, doubting
Yeah.
themselves or feeling insecure. Although I'm positive that there were a lot of people that felt that way because it's
Bound
a
to.
facade. They
Yep.
probably were all feeling that way, but they've got to bounce off each other and be like, oh, well, she's, coming out really confident and smiling and giggly. So I've got to do the same. And, they'd have little banters and jokes and say silly things and do silly
Mm,
things. But that was their way of sort of trying to, I guess, and it was, to me, it was obvious. I don't know if it was obvious to anyone else, but I guess it was their way to sort of cope and get
yeah.
through the stress of it all because it is a
Yes,
stressful
for
thing back
sure.
there.
Yeah, it'd be highly stressful for sure. And one false move, probably could lose your whole career. So you'd
Well,
be
you don't want to be stacking it on the runway, I
no.
can tell you this much. Some of the heels that they used to wear were absolutely ridiculous. This is the ugly side of that industry, is
Yeah.
that they would come backstage and their feet would be bleeding and they would be covering it up with band-aids, and we'd have to touch it up with makeup, and all the
Mm,
poor things, and their feet were just like, and it's not a glamorous thing. The
no.
reality is not glamorous. But
Yeah.
they love the thrill, the
Yeah.
aspect
The
of the
glam.
stage light.
Mm, yeah.
So same thing with us. Our job was not glamorous backstage. We, like I said, there was egoic aspects between us as well, because obviously we're looking at our work and going, it's that's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
better than that person's. I'm liking
Yeah.
that. I think I pretty nailed that look. And, so there was a lot of
Yeah.
that happening as well. And um,
You'd have to have a certain
yeah.
amount of that though to be able to do it. And, I mean, it's that industry. And the other part there that I was going to sort of query you on is, today things are getting really um, crazy or outrageous. I don't know what the word is to put on it. There's probably multiple words we could use, with like, the big, massive lips and, the big
Oh
breasts.
yeah.
Beauty industry is just going off in an insane way, in many ways. And I presume you yourself, like you would try, your whole, looking over some of your beautiful, you're such a, model yourself, honestly. You're gorgeous. The photos that you put
What?
on your,
I love
truly,
that.
absolutely. And
You
when
know
I,
I'm using AI a lot, right? Please
oh,
tell
are
me you know
you?
I use AI quite a lot. Yes. No, I do. I'm very transparent with that. I assume people would know because, I'm
No,
like,
honestly, I'm
surely
so
people would know.
nah. because you're just so gorgeous. You are a gorgeous, stunning looking woman.
Oh,
And the, so where I'm going is you would be more in, I presume, I don't know, to keep things more natural. Is that what your line is? Or, like,
what my vibe is?
yeah, yeah, for
I
sure.
absolutely do love natural enhancing. That's my jam. That's my
Yeah,
jam. So anything that sort of like, if somebody says I just want glowy, natural, bronzy, like I'm like
yeah.
done,
Cool.
easy, like
Yeah,
easy, because it's just very much my style, and it's almost like driving a car. I just pump it out, and it's
yeah,
not even a second thought. And I could do it on you, Mandy. I could do it on absolutely anyone, any age, doesn't matter.
yeah,
I can make you feel, and again, it does sound like ego, but this is just me knowing my craft. This is
yeah,
just me
exactly.
knowing every inch of this industry.
Yeah,
And as you can imagine, in Mecca, I do have a lot of the younger girls approach me all the time. And they always come to me for questions like, okay, so what do I do in this situation? I've got this particular person who has really dark under eye circles and they're of a dark skin, and I don't know how to help them. And I'm just like, yeah, of course. And what I would suggest you do is da 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 and use this and that. And,
mm,
for me, it's just so natural. And I
yeah,
love being able to transform people. Honestly,
yeah,
I could do it all day, every day. If they
yeah,
have me booked out, like which 9 times out of 10 they do, they'll have me back to back.
yeah.
Um, at Mecca, I'm just like in my element, in my happy place. I'm like, yep, let's
Yes, for
go.
sure, for sure. And Tracy, you were in Bali when they had the Bali bombings. That was
Yes.
timing.
Oh, that was like right at the beginning of my career, believe it or not. It was actually just before my career because it was 2003 when it happened. And I remember working where I was working for the toll roads,
Yeah,
the Queensland toll roads, where you pay to sort of go through and use the road,
yeah,
and saving the money. And one of my colleagues there, who was a very similar age to me, her name was Sarah. She was very shy. She was a single girl, like as single as it, well, we're both single, but I was 19. She was, I think, 20. She was an only child. Both of her parents only had her, and she had never experienced life as a like
yeah,
experiment. Never kissed a boy, never drank, never went on a holiday. There was a lot of nevers, and I was determined that I was going to take her out and have a good time and have these experiences, right? Um, so we went. We saved our pennies and we went, and there were so many red flags. And this was before I came into my intuition, Mandy. This was before I really listened to my
yeah,
intuition and what my gut was telling me. I completely ignored my gut at this point. This was my early teen years. And I had a lot of red flags telling me not to go. For example, I got to the airport and, well, I'll give you one other example. Oh, no. We'll start with this. I got to the airport and I handed over my passport. I was so excited. I told all my work, bye, I'm going on holiday. And I get there and they turn around and tell me, and I remember the lady at the check-in grabbed my arm like here, and she just said, sweetheart, because I was in tears. She said, I can't let you on this plane. And I said, why? She says, because your passport is expired. And I was like, what? I checked it. I checked it. I checked it. I checked it. But here's the thing, I checked it a couple of months prior, and I didn't realize that this passport wasn't a 10-year passport. It was a 5-year passport. I just assumed it was a 10-year. I asked my parents how long theirs was, and they said 10 years. No one mentioned that mine would have been 5. So I just ignored it and didn't look anything to it. And then the next thing you know, yeah. So um, I was in such despair and such disappointment with myself because I had everyone come to the airport with me and everything. And just a real dumbass moment, in my opinion. I ended up, you know, doing everything I could to try and get my passport done as quick as possible. Now you can pay for it to get it done quickly. But I rang my travel agent, and this was another red flag, and they said to me, look, you're going to miss out on days if you try and push this and go now. Why don't you wait until November? So the month after, this was October. And I was like, no, I've told my work, I'm embarrassed. If I don't go now, they're just going to laugh at me and it's going to be embarrassing. I'm going. And said, well, okay, well, you're going to miss out on 4 days. You're only going to get 6. And I was like, okay, let's go, la, la, la. Got my passport. There were just a whole heap of red flags. We get there, the energy was off. And at the time, I didn't see this, but obviously in hindsight, you
Yeah,
see this.
yeah, yeah.
The energy was off big time to the point where, so we arrived on a Friday and Saturday was the day of the Bali bombings. Now, we spent the day sort of doing stuff on Friday and Saturday, and then we got to the evening and I said, come on, let's go out clubbing. Let's go to, and we asked where the ideal clubbing place is to go. And they said the Sari Club. And everyone who we spoke to, cab drivers, people at the hotel, they all said the Sari Club. That's where the Australians go. And we're like, okay. Now we got dressed in like black attire, you know, night clubbing gear. And I remember my girlfriend being such, she was incredibly shy, like incredibly introverted. And she was crying because she was on the bed and we were about to go out and she was nervous. And I said, oh, babe, it's going to be we're going to have the best time. We're going to have a drink and we're just going to have an amazing time. And I'm going to be with you the entire time. I said, I promise I won't leave you. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to meet people. You know, she's never experienced this before. And she was like, I'm just so scared and I just don't feel right about it. And again, just red flag. I didn't see this. So we got into a cab and the cab driver, this was another red flag, said to us, oh, terrible. And he said to me, I said, we're going to the Surrey Club. And he looked at us in such a dirty way, like we were from some kind of, I don't know. And we were dressed in nice, you know, outing gear, like, you know, pants and a singlet top and just really nicely dressed. But he looked at us with such, I don't know, anger, I think, and took us, didn't say a word the entire way, which was unusual because Balinese always have a chat with you. They're always talking to you, you know. And not only did he not talk to us, he decided he refused to drop us off in front of the club. He just said, this is the street. The club's at the end of the street. I won't take you any further. And he was very adamant. And I was like, okay, fine. And paid him off.
What do you think? What do you think that was about with him? Was he?
Oh, he knew.
He was worried that you girls would be in trouble, or?
Well, obviously he didn't care because he let us go.
Yeah.
He could have stopped. He knew. And that's because he didn't want to go down there because that's when they were going to set the bombs off.
Oh,
so think of the street as this, maybe think of it as about maybe a kilometre, right?
Yeah.
From one end to the other. The club was more closer to the end of the street. So we probably walked a good 800 metres to get to the club. This was in my perception. It could have been less.
Yeah.
But the fact that he wouldn't drop us off in front of the club was massive. But at the time, didn't think a thing of it. I was just like, okay, he's just a cranky old man. I don't know why. Yeah. But so we got out and started walking. And I remember just looking at my friend. She was still very distressed and just really not happy. And I was trying my hardest with
Yeah,
her because obviously she wasn't that type of person. Um, we went to the Surrey Club, and it was just your typical Aussie shack sort of looking thing, like lots of open bar, a lot of girls in bikinis. We were like, oh my God, like we weren't in bikinis, we were
yeah,
in clubbing attire. And we felt so out of place. And we walked to the front with the security. And I looked at her and I said, do you want to go in? And she says, she just shrugged her shoulders as if to say, not really. And I said, well,
yeah,
how about we just go to the bank, get some cash, and then come back? I don't know, something told me to go get cash.
yeah.
So we did that. We walked off because it was probably about 10 o'clock at night, I think. We walked off to get some cash. And on our return, there was, let's just say you're walking down a pretty narrow street. We're talking maybe, I would say probably the width of about maybe 15 meters. So not a huge, big, wide street. And down that street, there was just like all the cabs lined up, right? All filled, every side lined up. And as we're walking back down to the Surrey Club, we were on the opposite side of the road from the club, coming back down, and there was a club in front of the Surrey Club that was playing, believe it or not, Beyonce. I'll never forget the song, Beyonce Bootylicious.
Yeah,
So, you know, that Beyonce
yeah,
Bootylicious, baby. Anyway, so I was a big fan of R&B. It was my spirits. It was my guides protecting me. They're like, you're not going to the Surrey Club. We're going to drag you over here.
yeah,
This is what was happening. And they actually, something told me to go there because of the music, and it was a lot quieter and not so intense, a little bit darker, a bit more mysterious. And they
yeah.
had this massive retaining wall, and then the security guard. Now, the security guard was also very cranky, which was unusual because I
Mhm.
noticed that everyone wasn't that way. Um, we went inside. It was like a U-shaped kind of bar, and there was two seats to the right of the bar. So we were kind of behind the retaining wall in a sense, just to give you
Yeah,
perspective. I was a smoker back then. So I said, what would you like to drink? And she didn't know. And I said, well, I'll just get you a vodka orange, right? And I went to light up a cigarette. And from that moment, that was the first explosion. And I remember feeling an incredible, loud crack of a sound, deafening. I thought it was a massive electrical explosion. And at the time, I guess, it was a bit of a shock in that moment. I remember seeing lots of flames coming towards us, and everything went black, like soot. And then we were on the floor. Like we got blown off our chairs. I remember thinking to myself, because we went instantly deaf, and I remember thinking to myself, just get down. And I knew that my girlfriend was very fragile. Very. Imagine this, her first ever clubbing
yes,
experience.
I was thinking that.
And so I just grabbed her by the pant leg and I said, just get down, get down. And I just covered her because she went to go get up again, naturally, instinct. And I just said, and she's yelling at me, going, I'm down, because I'm screaming at her, just get down. And there were people trampling over us. I just didn't care. I was just like, you're just protecting, right?
Yeah,
And we were on the floor. It was pitch black. That's when the second bomb went off. And that's when a lot of people ran outside, which was very sad. And when they ran, that's when they
yeah,
got affected. There was over 200 people that were killed. So, and lost a lot of people that lost limbs. And it was such a surreal thing. And here's the thing. I remember we were on the floor, and I can hear somebody saying, a male's voice, "Get up, and whatever you do, don't look back." And they just kept repeating
Oh,
and repeating it and repeating it. And whatever you do, don't look back. Get up, start running, get away from here, don't look back. And I don't know what they looked like. I don't know who they were. I just remember it being a male's voice. And my girlfriend, we'd lost our wallets, our bags, everything. And I just said to her, she's like, my shoe, it's gone. She'd cut her foot. I said, don't worry, just put somebody else's shoe on. And I grabbed it quickly.
yeah.
And she was limping, and we were walking out. So that retaining wall and that little
Yes.
delicious song saved us. But I truly believe it was our spirit guides.
For sure.
Yeah, totally. And we ended up walking, and we didn't look back. I saw a little bit of a flame and people screaming, and obviously that, but I needed to be responsible for her because I felt her fragility. I felt that
Yeah.
she was so like absolutely, she was sobbing.
Yeah.
I couldn't cry. I was in so much shock. I just
Yeah.
not react to
Yeah.
it, and I just kept walking. And we, unbeknownst to us, we were walking and walking and walking. We had families, like little family, Balinese families, come out and see us and say, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And was so distressed for us and trying to take us into the house. But we felt so insecure and not trusting of anyone because we didn't
Yeah.
know what was going on. So we said, no, we just need to get to a cab. We need to get to a cab because we were staying about half an hour away, which was a blessing. Um, so we ended up finding, and they were distressed for us because they could see, this is very sad, but they could see blood all over us, like splatters that wasn't ours. And that was hard. That was
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah.
And because they kept saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I said, "That's not mine. It's not mine," And I was like, "Oh my God. Oh my God." Like it was just not.
Reality of it, eh? Like,
I actually remember as well, which really hit hard. There was a group of people that rushed past us, and there was a lot of despair, and obviously you can imagine a lot of panic. And there was a male that literally punched past me, not literally knocked us over. And he's like, "Move!" And he's tagging his girlfriend, her friends along. And I was like, wow,
yeah.
it's disgusting. I
Yeah.
just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. But this was the reality of fear.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to a cab. Very the somberness of the cab driver, they knew. And remember when I said to you that there was a whole bunch of cabs
Yeah.
all aligned? Guess what? They were all gone. They were all gone. That means they all knew. It could only mean they all knew. Um, so they literally knew that this was going to happen and that this was going to affect so many young people. And that's the hard part to swallow. That was the hard part to swallow.
Yeah.
Um, and I ended up just being in shock. I didn't actually. We got back to our hotel. They couldn't believe what was happening. They were so upset because in Bali there are a lot of Jakartans that are Muslim, and unfortunately it's the Jakartans that are very against what Australians do over there, which is understandable, I guess. I get it, but to that degree is unacceptable.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and a lot of the people that work in the hotels are Balinese locals, and they were in so much shock and despair that they were just like, "We're so sorry." They're trying to apologize to us, and I was just like, couldn't rationalize what was happening.
No.
And I remember us taking our clothes off and just everything covered in it and having a shower. And we couldn't have a shower because of the pressure in our ears. And it was
Oh,
just
no.
crazy. It was crazy. Um, And I didn't actually say anything to my family because I did not believe the gravity of it. I just didn't. And it's because I was protected by someone or something telling me not to turn around.
Yeah.
When we eventually got on our plane home, which was in about 40, I think 48 hours after, there were people waiting who had lost their partners, their boyfriends, their parent, their child. Like, it was devastating. That's when it started to hit me. I was still in a state of shock, I think.
Yeah.
I remember my sister ringing me, telegram going, why haven't you called us? You should have called us. And I said, I didn't think it would actually get that far. Like, I was so
Yeah.
naive to the whole concept. But yeah, when we got on the plane, we got home safely, and I just knew that it wasn't our time, and I realized straight away all the red flags. I was like, oh my God, how did I not see this? How did I not trust my own intuition and see this? And it was a massive, massive lesson for me.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's very, and I'm so, so glad that you were safe, like, and looked after, and we often are. We're often, those guardian angels. Phew. Um,
Absolutely.
one of the, so they targeted the first bar that you were in.
No, so the first bar that we attempted to go to, and then my girlfriend looked at me. I remember I told you they were all in bikinis and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
looking at my girlfriend, she was very insecure and shy. We were all dressed in different type of attire. So I just said, let's go to the bank, get some money out
yeah,
and back. We were going to go back to that
yeah,
club, but something lured me over to the club in front, which was the
yeah.
Delicious song.
So, so good. So, in those times, like you're saying, should have listened to the intuition, picked up the intuition and listened to and taken more notice of the signs. But I've had this conversation with many before, and where, like, oftentimes people will go, oh, it's just not working. No, you got to push through the blocks. So there's that thing where we're going, actually, there's little hurdles that are coming up, or big hurdles that are coming up. It's not just flowing in a way that we know things can flow
Correct.
when it's on and it's in alignment with where we're actually heading. But those things, when there's those little hurdles that come up and you think, no, I'm just going to push through this. I obviously need to push through this. Is a little test for me. Do I really want it? You know? And it's often that thing where I've said to people, it's very hard to gauge whether there's red flags going, you're not to go there, don't go, don't go, don't go, or whether they're just a little hurdle that's testing you on how much do you want it. It's so like confusing in many ways, and we just do what feels like, even at that time, you probably, like you say, looking back, you can see that it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
don't go, don't go, everything was trying to sway you off. um but
Everything.
oh my God, thank God you were okay in there.
I honestly, for now, there is exactly like you just mentioned, there is a rule that if something doesn't flow with me, if something isn't going in that
Yes.
direction that I want it to go, and for whatever reason, something stops, maybe to give you an example, um, you know, we really needed somebody to move into our lower part of our home, right?
Yeah.
Because whilst my sister finally moved out, um, for those of you who don't know, I lived in a dual living environment, double sort of home. She was downstairs, I was upstairs. It was time for her to exit. That was her choice. But as you can imagine, we have now purchased the entire home, so our mortgage is raised. So we needed somebody
It's
to compensate for that.
Yeah.
So we're so happy because our kids continue to have their forever home. And I subconsciously was asking and consciously asking the universe, I would love to have somebody who I know living there, and somebody who's, resonates with me, all that sort of thing. And before you know it, I was having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine, and she happened to say that, oh, I've been in my apartment for 9 years and they're not going to continue the contract, and I'm so stressed out. And I said, oh, Kel. And then I knew that that was my guides bringing her to me because I'd been asking for it. And I just said I happen to have a place. Anyway, my point
Mm,
is everything went in flow from the
yes.
moment, he challenged me though, because we had to get the place ready in 10 days. And she is a very clean, very OCD person, and she admits that. And so I was very like under the pump trying to get this all done whilst looking after my crew and my
Yeah.
household and working. But we managed to do it. And I just kept saying, it's a blessing. It's a blessing, because we would probably have procrastinated the hell out of it before getting somebody in. And having her there has really helped with, repayments. And it's only just been a
Yeah.
week, but
Yeah.
it has been a blessing. But my point is, everything went in flow.
Yes.
Um, and
And it is like that, eh? You do learn that if it's not, I'm the same. If it's got hiccups, we'll just leave it for now and see. And there may be
correct.
something that's the internal, something internally for yourself, as in there might be something that needs to be looked at in relation to trauma or emotion or something else.
Yeah.
That could be just, yeah, diverting it a little bit or holding it up. But once we work on that, it can shift, and it can be in that flow. So Tracey, love this convo with you, and love seeing you again after all these years of, yeah. But
So good.
how can people get hold of you? Do you do makeup for weddings? Like, do you do bridal parties and stuff like that, or what?
That's a really good question. As an artist, most people would assume that I do a lot of freelance, and it's not to say that I don't do any freelance. However, I have reached a point in my life where I value my home time with my children and my family.
Mm,
So, as you can imagine, the wedding industry is predominantly the weekend.
yeah,
Um, and the thing about me working with Mecca is that I have to provide them with one day on the weekend, which is the Sunday. I choose the Sunday. So Saturdays is our day. So
yeah,
this closes the door on freelance in a sense. However, I do love helping people out if they need me on the occasion. So it's always like a bit of a word of
yeah.
mouth, if anything. But like I said, what was it, 4 years ago, probably at the beginning of when we met, 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
um, I embarked on my cosmetic tattoo journey. So that was my other little side
That's
project.
right. Yes, yes, yes.
And
Yeah,
that was an
absolutely.
incredible experience for me. Like, I invested a lot of money into the training aspect. It's quite expensive.
Yeah,
Um, and I didn't have the money. I just manifested it somehow. I just kept putting it out there and went, you know
yeah,
what, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I ended up having the opportunity. So, a little bit of a backstory, but I ended up finishing my course, and I got a job with Mecca at the time, right? Because I've been with Mecca for 6 years. Yes, it probably has been 6 years since we haven't
yeah,
seen each other.
yeah. Yep,
And I ended up getting finishing my course at the week before I had to do my induction for Mecca. So it was all happening. It was all crazy. I was like, wow, intense. I'm learning something brand new, and I'm learning something new with a new company. It was a lot. I was so consumed with the thought that I needed to be like, I have to get this all done. I have to get it all done. I have to get it all done. And I've got to do, and be a mum and get the kids to school. And Alina was 2, Elias was 5. And I was so not grounded I was so outside of my present self at that time that I ended up forgetting something inside. I was taking my kids. We were going on a day trip to a girls' weekend with a couple of my girlfriends, well deserving, and I was rushing to get them out, the kids out the door, and I wasn't grounded. I wasn't focused. I was stressing, and I don't know why I was stressing, because there was nothing to stress about other than, them being a little late.
Yeah.
What was the big deal? This was a massive lesson for me. And then I ended up tripping at the front of my house, and I fell over and broke my collarbone. And from that point on, my induction, I couldn't do my induction. I couldn't do my my cosmetic tattooing, because my actual work arm, my right genius hand, this was here for 6
Yes.
months. And it was a massive lesson for me. Oh my God, what a lesson. It was like too much, Tracey. You've got to listen to your body. And so I probably had 6 months to a year of not doing anything for my cosmetic tattoo journey. And then, 6 months. And then I went back to work after 6 months, and they were amazing at Mecca. I only started off with like 20 hours a week and then sort of worked my way up.
Yeah.
And then I finally decided I was ready about 4 years ago to start with the cosmetic tattooing. And I reached out to a friend. Everything went into alignment. We met. She just so happened to say to me, I have a position for you and I'd love you to come and work with me. And I was like, oh, so it was all like bang, 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 right?
Yeah.
In flow. I went. I've never been so challenged in my life, because, as you can imagine, it's a very invasive technique where you're cutting into the skin. So it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I did not realize how hard it would have been. And I thought I would pick it up really quickly and easily, but I let my fears get the better of me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it didn't work well with her. And she was like, you have to be more confident. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I am confident, but when it comes to this is different. And she ended up letting me go after about 6 months, but I still had good 6 months experience with her, which was great. And I value that and I appreciated that. But she said, you know what you need to do, Trace? You need to go and do your own thing. You need to create your own business and start your own business and do it yourself. And that was a massive hurdle for me, massive. But I ended up doing that. I started my business here at home, and I embarked on that for 4 years, and it's been fabulous. Like I made clients after clients. It was an incredible experience. And then recently this year, or the end of last year, I started to really slow down. And that was because my mum, my beautiful mama had a big fall, and she was already quite disabled.
Mm-hmm.
But she had a massive fall and broke her hip. And then my sister and I have been dedicating a lot of time with her at the hospital and stuff. So I ended up sort of saying, I'm going to let go of the business, but still keep my regulars coming to me. But I just don't advertise it anymore. So you probably haven't seen much work but I do a lot of private stuff. So, and the reason for that is I had to honor what was happening in my life at the time. I had to. And it was just too much. I couldn't do it all. And then, of course, my side hustle.
Right.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
And to finish it all off, my side hustle I started last year has been an incredible journey. What a journey. I've never done MLMs before.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different new thing. Such an incredible opportunity, and because it was affordable. It was $50 US to start, $10 US a month to stay subscribed. Like you would pay your Netflix membership or your Costco or anything like that. essentially I've met an incredible community of people who, what I love about it is that they're all so spiritually inclined as well. So it
Mm.
isn't just you think MLM, you think sales, angry, pushy, that kind of thing. And it's not. The people
It's
that I am in, the community I'm in, they all believe in energies and how important it is to be in the right alignment and be in the right energy to be able to post and send things out, because otherwise it just doesn't flow. It doesn't flow
right.
for you. Yeah.
And
So I've been,
it's
yeah,
quite a new earth energy that I've done lots of the different MLMs, and this one for me is more aligned in everyone helping everyone. It's not, yeah, it's a great thing. And if people
absolutely.
wanted to find out more from you about that, they can get in touch with you through your Facebook page and
Yeah.
all of that, eh, Tracy? Yeah.
Absolutely, can DM me, or there is a link in my bio in my profile that they can click on. I have a link in my Instagram, which is oh my god, I've blanked on the name. Well, let me just check for you what my Instagram is. My Instagram is Tracey D underscore wealth is now. So
Okay, cool.
yeah. But
All right.
otherwise, yeah, Tracey Dunell is my Facebook handle.
All righty. And if we'll put all those links up under your when this goes out, when this airs, and they can all get in touch if anyone's interested. But thank you so much for coming in. It's been lovely chatting, and yeah,
Oh,
just love
thank
that
you,
sharing
Mandy.
with
I
you.
appreciate you
Oh,
asking me about
yeah,
everything, and it's definitely a trip down memory lane.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I I didn't intend that I would take so much time off you, so I'm so sorry.
No,
But
all good. It's absolutely good. Yeah, no
yeah, but no,
worries.
it's been an honor chatting to you, and also revisiting those times and
Mm,
that are held dear to me.
yeah,
Even the tougher times I still hold dear to me.
yeah, for
But
sure.
I it's just been an absolute blessing having a chat to you, and I love what you're doing here. This is
Thank
amazing.
you. Yeah, I love it
Yes.
too. I have some amazing chats with some really amazing, beautiful creatives and peeps, so it's really lovely. But thank you so
So,
much. And thank you to
thanks,
everyone who's
Mandy.
chimed in on this recording. And if you feel like pushing the subscribe button on my YouTube channel, you're more than welcome to do that. That'd be lovely. So much love to you, Tracy, and your fam, and wish them all the best from me.
Oh, thanks, Mandy. I'm
All
sure we'll be
right.
in touch again soon.
We will, for sure. Bye bye.
Bye.